All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So we are doing a viewer request video looking at GETR as well as sell. So very quickly, I hope you see it before I get into it, but you know how much I love red, because eventually at some point it'll turn green, right? I say it all the time. We've seen it happen a number of times. So these are the kind of stocks I love seeing, all right? Before we go any further in the details, what are we going to do today? Same thing we always do. We're going to take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how this thing is setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. This is the first time I'm covering this stock, so I will draw some horizontal support and resistance lines. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please like, subscribe, share, comment, anything you can do really does help with the YouTube algorithms. But I swear, I am just very grateful that you are here and watching this, okay? And then look, if you disagree with anything I got to say, don't hesitate to throw it in the comments, all right? I'm not perfect, I'm not all-knowing, and yeah, we're here helping each other. That's all we're doing, just sharing some opinions, okay? Let's get into it. And again, this seems to me like a D-SPAC, right? Generally, when I see this like $10 line, it usually goes up or down very violently. And yeah, unfortunately, this one was a very violent down, right? That said, we're making some pretty nice moves, okay? But some important things to very much remember. I have no idea why, but volume the last bit has been, I mean, probably the volume of the entire time this thing's been trading, right? Oh, there is an alert. So this is definitely like real live trading hours. I have a busy day. You'll see it's 12 o'clock my time, not quite 4 o'clock Eastern, right? So percents are going to move. I might be getting some alerts. And again, I think that's a good example of showing you like an alert is not an immediate buy notification, right? I see it, I hit X, I move on with my day. So a good actual live example of that. But again, what we're basically hunting for is what we're in the near future of. And look, I already see where I'm going to draw the line, right? But essentially the way it works is you go down, you go horizontal, and hopefully you go up. Otherwise, you just keep going down, right? And down, horizontal, we're finally going up. I love it. And you saw it, right? I mean, this is the money line right there. What did this day close at? 0.65. I mean, 0.66 is definitely going to be a really important place. Why? Because look, there's basically nothing after that. These couple candles right there are very insignificant. They're nowhere near the size of that, not even the size of that guy. This line hits the top of both right there. Looks like it hits the top of another one right there. We're actually sitting there right now. Again, we're in live hours, this thing. Let me just see what the next hour is going to look like. Hey, that's not bad. RSI's looking up, MACD's looking up. We're getting some volume. It looks like this thing's breaking. I mean, GETR is actually looking a little interesting. I'm a little worried with this 88 RSI, but let's be honest. If you've been watching Viri, oh, it's actually not even as high as I expected. Maybe because it dropped so much. But yeah, I thought Viri would be just a little higher in all honesty. So GETR looks interesting. You know, I care about the close of market. Like, I honestly, if this thing goes up, I'll obviously be sad. I don't have any money on it, right? But for me, I'm not going to really chase something. Damn, look at that. It's making some money as I'm making this video, right? Like, this thing is very much testing this line as I speak. And yeah, breaking it would really bring, I mean, honestly, probably, and look, at that point, this candle is pretty much the 100. So I'm really going to go ahead and delete this line because breaking this is essentially saying, hey, you should go to the 100. Breaking the 100 will put you essentially over this little insignificant plateau. Like, this is a plateau, right? This is why this line is really hard, and we're jumping between 12% and 8% as my sentences keep going, right? But, that will be the same level of difficulty right here. And yeah, breaking this is going to be some sexy trading all the way up to there, right? Again, nothing's guaranteed, but yeah, if you break the 100, you should go to the 200, especially when you've got nothing but red and gap fill. So, real interesting here. I'll be honest, I'm going to set my alert at 67, not 77. Yeah, I'll take 67. Let me be a penny over all that. And then I do want to actually set another one just in case I miss this, but I don't want to forget it at 116. 116, again, this line is going down, right? So this thing should be under 116 over the coming days. Get her. Look at that. It's going to go on and off as I make this video now. Fantastic, right? But that's okay. But yeah, there is a lot of interesting things happening here. More than anything, I'm actually really curious about this volume. If someone knows what's happening here, I would really love something in the comments. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just assuming, you know, a lot of pain is basically turning into just a good recovery play, right? And golden cross there, you can see the 8 looks like it's getting ready to go up. Looks like the 20 is going right behind it, right? Like it looks like the opposite of this. Instead of this, what looks like horrible downward, we might be making a really nice upward, right? So obviously this 88 RSI, I don't like buying something in the 80s, right? I'm a much bigger fan of buying something in the 50s and the 60s to give me that leg up to keep going, right? But hey, we've been up here before. 81, 80, 81, 81, 84. You know, it knows how to do it. It knows how to do it. So interesting. It doesn't really live in the 90s necessarily, but yeah, if this thing can cool down, selfishly, I would actually really like this thing to come down, hit the 8, and then take off. But again, we're literally jumping in and out of this 8%, 12%. The goal is really going to be, can it break this line and then maybe keep going? RSI actually doesn't look like it's kind of curving down, right? It kind of looks like it wants to keep going up. MACD is definitely in the positive, and yeah, volume technically going down, like I do see that, right? But you know, I get really happy as long as we're over this white line. So yeah, this is definitely a must watch for tomorrow. So I am loving it. We'll look at the weekly real quick just to look at it. That's not bad. We're over the 20 on the weekly. All right. And I mean, on the weekly, it just screams red, right? So yeah, very nice. I love stocks like this. I really do. Okay, sell. I like this setup. It's funny. I said I like this setup, and then the days after I said it, it started to go down, right? But why do I like this setup? I mean, look at this thing. I know there are green sprinkles, but this in my head is just red. There's very little like hard plateaus. Maybe I would call this one, right? There's like a little bit of a horizontal there, but yeah, we're basically over these guys. It looks like we've obviously come back down to retest it. Hopefully the 8 does its job, and we'll focus up here shortly, right? But yeah, getting over this like 114 hump should bring us to this 133, and really ideally it would take us up all the way here, right? Maybe even all the way here, which is basically the 100 moving average. So sell does have a lot of just like a couple green sprinkles in there, but this is a pretty hard red, right? So couple differences, right? MACD is not quite at the 0 positive line, right? Again, negative 0.05 isn't horrible, but positive 0.5 is much better, right? And onward. I never really talk about the MACD numbers much, but yeah, 0 is better than negative whatever, even at 0, right? So just kind of something to keep in mind. This is it's a nice RSI. There's definitely some healthiness to this, but man, look at the volume, all right? As I see that the number is only 177, you know what I'm going to do, right? You're going to come to the minute, you're going to see this, and this is a shady stock, all right? Again, I got no problem with you buying and selling shady stocks, right? I'm not here saying don't do these. I'm telling you, back in my early days, I made some good ass money on these things. Sorry to curse, I try not to that much, but why do I call it shady? Look at this. This minute right here, there was 0 volume. You can see volume 0.00. Next minute behind it, 0. But this one right here was 13,000 shares, and look at the crazy green that comes with it, right? And then really quickly, it only takes 3,000 shares for it to come down. Look, again, I don't like talking about like money. I think it's really rude, right? Like what's a lot to one person is not, you know, a little bit to another, right? We're not here to like money shame each other. That's definitely not my thing. But honestly, 3,500 shares on something that's under $2 is less than $6,000. $6,000 should not move the needle this much. You know what I mean? Again, $6,000 for a lot of people is a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, shit, I'd love $6,000, right? Like I can do some good things with that. But just in general stock terms, like that shouldn't happen from a $6,000 move, right? So this minute shows that it's shady. Again, I love this, right? Like there's a lot of reason to believe that we want to come to the 50. That said, look, the 50's been a hard line. There's been some shaking right here. There's been a little shaking right here, but we actually haven't been Jesus Christ, we since it started, in all honesty, since I would say 2000 and basically since December of 2000, I feel that was the last real time we were over the 50 moving average. So I think there's a lot of weight on this 50 line. If you can get over the 50 line, there's a lot of recovery. But just as I look back and see it, I think that really explains why this curve failed. And look, we didn't even come close to wicking it, right? So, yeah, it's one of those where I think the 50 is going to be the real story on sell. So, hey, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you.